Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something really fundamental, whether you're building online or offline, and that's your brand. How do you make something that people actually notice, something that, sticks?
Something that lasts, right?
Exactly. And we've been digging into a pretty comprehensive source for this. It's a video called How to Build a Brand, Full Course. And our mission here is to really cut through all the noise and pull out the key high-impact stuff from this source. We want to figure out how to define, build, and scale a brand effectively.
Yeah, focusing on what actually builds real value, not just chasing views.
Right.
And the source material, it's very practical. It feels grounded in, actual experience. It focuses on core ideas that really hold up over time.
So it's less about the fleeting trend.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's not about just gaming the algorithm. It's about building something solid, something resilient. And this dive should help you get right to the core of those strategies.
Okay, let's jump in. The first big idea presented is this. You can't just blend in. To really build a standout brand, you've got to find what's actually missing in your industry, your niche, and own that space.
That's the key. And the source suggests asking yourself two really powerful questions to find that gap. First, what are other people in your space saying or doing that you just fundamentally disagree with?
Okay.
And second, how can you bring a genuinely fresh take to ideas that maybe feel a bit old hat or, settled?
And this connects to something the video points out really sharply. You look around the digital world today, right? So much talk about going viral, getting views.
Chasing those metrics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the video argues that maybe the real gap, the thing you can own, is focusing on building a long-term brand built on trust.
It's such a crucial distinction. Algorithm-driven views, they can be fickle, the platform changes, poof, maybe your audience is gone. But trust. When people genuinely know you, value what you bring, they'll actively look for you. They'll search you out no matter how the platforms shift. That kind of goodwill, that's the real asset.
Okay, so finding that strategic gap is step one. But then there's another layer. The source really hammers home your story. That's your brand's secret weapon.
Yeah, it's what makes you unique, irreplaceable. It helps you connect on a much deeper level than just features or benefits.
So how do you find that story?
Well, the source suggests looking at your personal journey, the challenges, the turning points. They're not just random events. They shape your unique perspective, the lens you use to share information. It's about consciously identifying those pivotal moments.
And they give some really practical advice here, cutting through the usual buzzwords like saying you're hardworking or innovative. Kind of falls flat, doesn't it?
Oh.
You need to share the actual experiences. The video creator talks about sharing the sorry, but this is the term used, the real struggles, like getting laid off and having to pivot, or a specific interaction like the Gary Vaynerchuk example that shifted their view on audience-first content. Those moments hit differently.
And that brings up a good point. How do you know which parts of your story or personality really connect? The video highlights paying close attention to feedback.
Feedback? From who?
From friends, colleagues, your existing audience if you have one. What do people already praise you for? What qualities or ideas do they consistently link with you?
Okay. Like the example in the video, the creator noticed clients kept commenting on his energy on calls.
Exactly. And that was a signal, right? That authentic part of him. It needed to be in his content, too, front and center.
So you listen to that feedback, whether it's direct praise or just noticing, say, that your practical, no BS advice gets the best reaction. And you use that to lean into being fully you.
That's the goal. Being authentically you in a way that resonates.
And the source breaks down building this story into 3 steps. The catalyst, what you see that others miss. The core truth, what you believe, maybe unconventionally.
Yeah.
And the proof, how you consistently show up and live that truth. Nailing those builds real loyalty.
Which naturally leads into, content creation, the engine of it all.
Right. And picking your topic. That can feel huge. But the advice here is actually to start narrow.
Yeah, narrow. It sounds counterintuitive, maybe.
A little, yeah. You think you need to appeal broadly.
But the thinking is, early on, you build credibility by being known as truly excellent at one specific thing. The video uses this analogy, think of a friend who says they're great at everything. Do you really believe they're an expert in any of it?
Probably not.
Compare that to the friend who's obsessed with, say, sourdough baking. You trust their opinion on sourdough, right? Deep focus builds that initial trust faster.
Okay, so it's about that initial phase. Building credibility, not limiting yourself forever. They suggest something like an 80-20 split.
Exactly. Hammer home your core thing 80% of the time, but use that other 20% to show more personality, maybe touch on related areas. Be human.
And how do you pick those core topics?
Well, connecting back to the audience, the video suggests asking, what will resonate most right now? And crucially, what information will actually cause your audience to change their actions?
Ah, not just passive scrolling. You want impact.
Right. You want them to do something differently based on what you shared. That's real value. The source mentioned organic content strategy as a topic their audience really needed at that moment.
Okay, topic chosen. Then medium video, writing, audio, visuals.
The advice here is pretty straightforward. Start with what you're comfortable with, what you might even enjoy. If you're good at making complex things simple with visuals, like the visualize value example mentioned, lean into that. If you like writing, start there.
Makes sense. Reduces friction to get started.
Exactly. Build the habit first. You can always layer in other mediums later, or if you build a team, but starting simple helps consistency.
And platforms. The temptation is to be everywhere.
Yeah, don't do that. The source strongly advises focusing deeply on just 2 or 3 platforms initially. Master those few rather than spreading yourself thin.
So how do you choose those 2 or 3?
Ask, what platform feels most natural for you? Where does your specific audience actually hang out, and what are they looking for there? Quick hits like TikTok, deeper dives on YouTube, professional stuff on LinkedIn.
So you make an educated guess.
You make an educated guess based on who you want to reach and what you want to achieve, and then you test it. The video creator started with LinkedIn and Instagram, guessing that's where potential clients were.
Okay, this leads to the classic debate. Quality versus quantity.
Ah, yes. And the video cuts through the noise on this one.
How so?
They put it very simply. Quality is defined by your audience, full stop.
Okay.
So early on, when you're still learning what your audience considers quality, the strategy is high volume. Post often. Get that data. See what actually lands.
So quantity leads to understanding quality.
Exactly. Then, once you have that data, you compress the accordion, as they put it. You start putting more effort into fewer pieces, focusing on the formats and topics that resonated. They referenced Mr. Beast shifting to fewer massive effort videos after he deeply understood his audience.
Which fights against that perfect post trap.
Right.
Waiting forever to get it just right.
Absolutely. Perfect is the enemy of posted. Get it out there, learn, improve the next one. The creator even mentioned filming the course with sirens in the background and refining nightly based on learnings. Consistency, even if it's just 1 post a week to start, is crucial. Speed beats perfection, especially early.
Makes sense.
Now, if you already have like thousands of hours of direct audience interaction, maybe you can start with higher effort, lower volume. But for most people starting out, volume helps you learn fast.
All right, let's shift gears. The video emphasizes the team as being absolutely critical for scaling. Not just execution, but like a multiplier.
A huge multiplier. And the core hiring principle is really smart. Hire to solve problems, specifically the bottlenecks holding you back.
Not just hiring to delegate busy work.
Exactly. Hire for leverage. Ask yourself, what's eating up my time unnecessarily? Where's the choke point in our content process? What big opportunities are we missing purely due to lack of bandwidth?
That reframes it.
Yeah.
And it leads to another point they made. Hire for platform-specific needs initially, not general skills.
Yes. If LinkedIn is driving your growth, maybe you need a killer LinkedIn writer before you need a generalist copywriter. Solve the most critical bottleneck first with specific expertise.
The video outlines a pretty thorough hiring funnel too, aimed at spotting issues early.
Yeah, it's designed to avoid costly mistakes. Starts with applications, portfolios, then a screening call, maybe with some technical questions to check real understanding.
Not just AI answers.
Right. Then a deeper technical interview on strategy and execution. And for some roles, like editors or designers, maybe even a paid tryout with a real content piece.
And through all that, they stressed hiring for culture fit.
Hugely important. Skills can often be taught, right? But things like hunger, empathy, adaptability, those are harder to train. You want people who genuinely align with your brand's values and are proactive.
To keep things clear, they use that 4Rs framework for roles.
Right. Role, what's their main contribution? Responsibilities, what do they do day to day? Requirements, what skills do they need? And results, how is success measured? Ideally with numbers, plus communication style and values.
And the advice is definitely to start lean. Don't overhire early.
Please don't. A small, focused team is way more effective initially. Early hires often need to be versatile, wear a few hats, maybe film and edit, especially when budgets are tight.
The video also touched on employees versus contractors or agencies.
Yeah, weighing factors like budget contractors can be lower upfront cost. Flexibility, again, contractors often win there, but control, brand consistency, feedback loops, that's usually better with employees. And for scaling culture and leadership, employees are key.
They laid out a kind of growth stage model for the team.
Yeah, 3 stages, roughly. Stage 1, maybe the first year. Lean heavily on contractors agencies. Stay flexible, test things out, founders heavily involved.
Okay, stage 2.
Years 1 to 3, maybe. Start bringing key roles in-house, especially for the platforms or functions proving highest ROI. Build that internal muscle. Maybe agencies shift to more strategic consulting.
And stage 3.
3 years plus. Really scale the in-house team. Allow for more specialization as things grow. Still might use agencies for specific things like platform relationships or short sprints.
Makes sense. Okay, you've hired someone great. Onboarding. It can go so wrong.
Oh, definitely. A bad onboarding process just kills momentum and motivation. The video recommends a structured 30, 60, 90-day plan.
How does that break down?
First 30 days, get them oriented, core tasks, shadowing, looking at past successful content, maybe small internal projects, get some early wins. Lots of check-ins are key here.
Right. Avoid overwhelm.
Then 30 to 60 days, more independence on their main responsibilities.
And 60 to 90.
By then, the aim is full ownership within their role, making decisions, contributing strategically, spotting ways to improve things.
The video also talked about internal development training, mentorship.
Yeah, really important, like weekly training sessions where different team members share skills, everyone learns from everyone, and mentorship loops, pairing people based on skills, not just hierarchy, for mutual growth.
And knowing their career goals.
Crucial. Leaders need to understand where team members want to go long-term and find opportunities that align. Like the example, someone wants to be a creative director. Give them chances to pitch campaigns.
And the regular check-ins, the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential.
Non-negotiable. Not just for feedback, but workload, blockers, those career goals. The video creator said it well. If you don't make time for feedback, you will make time for hiring replacements.
Ouch.
So the big takeaways on team development were push ownership down, make leadership and training a habit for everyone, connect their growth to the companies, encourage specialization, and have those structured check-ins. It builds a culture of growth and reduces turnover.
And that culture itself, it's intentional, defined by values lived out, not just posters on a wall, giving feedback, fostering creativity.
Exactly. Okay, that brings us to the final piece, monetization, the bit everyone's waiting for.
But the video has a pretty strong warning here, doesn't it? Don't rush it.
Absolutely. The core message is powerful. Trust is the currency that has to come before the transaction.
Tell me more about that.
Before you even think about asking for money, your brand needs to have built a track record of providing incredible value, proving you know your stuff, proving your credibility, and building real loyalty with your audience.
They do acknowledge reality, though, right? Some people need to monetize sooner.
Oh, yeah. The creator gets that people have bills. The temptation is real. But they frame building that deep trust first as the best case scenario, the most sustainable path for long-term success.
So looking back at the whole source, it really paints a journey.
It does. Starts with defining your unique value, finding that gap, then creating content that actually connects because you get your audience, then building a team strategically to scale it all up, and only then monetizing the trust you've earned.
Yeah, what really resonates from this whole deep dive is that consistent focus on authenticity, really knowing your audience and being strategic and patient, rather than just chasing quick wins.
Find your gap, tell your real story, make content your audience actually values. Build that team carefully around problems and culture.
And remember that trust isn't just a bonus, it's everything. It's the foundation.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something provocative for you listening. Building a brand that lasts isn't a destination you arrive at, right? It's constant motion. The digital world changes, your audience evolves.
So the question is,
how will you build systems for ongoing learning and adaptation into your brand, in your content, in your team, in your strategy? How do you stay proactive, stay ahead of the curve instead of just reacting?
That's a really powerful question to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into building a brand that lasts. Hopefully these insights give you some valuable things to consider for your own journey.